Hi, so today, let me talk about the management masterclass. It's going to be a very interesting management masterclass where we are going to talk about introduction to sports management. As you're all aware that in IMS, we bring series of management masterclass. It's a sneak peek into management pedagogy. In a constant endeavor to impact and enhance our students' knowledge, we have conceptualized these series so that the students get first-hand experience in B school pedagogy by expert faculties. And today we have very eminent faculties, joining us and going to talk about sports management. And basically, these sessions have been planned akin to actually attending an introductory B school session on a given topic. It will help you to get a gist of important subjects and be equipped in making better selection in your MBA courses. So today, let me talk and highlight a little bit what is my understanding on sports management. Sports management is a field of business that focuses directly on sports and recreation. Sports management involves any combination of skill that corresponds with planning, organizing, budgeting, leading, evaluating of any organization or business within the sports field. A degree in sports management can lead to great career opportunities owing to consumer interest in Indian sports being on an all-time high with growing at a fast pace. For example, Indian Premier League and Pro Kabaddi League are among the top watched sports of Indian television on Indian television. Yes. So today our session takeaway is going to be understanding the business of sports and how the industry works globally. How can a dual master's degree help your career? New trends and job perspective in the sports industry. Why Bhubaneswar and Paris both are great destination right now to pursue a degree in sports industry management. Having this introduction about the topic, the session takeaway. Let me talk about our eminent faculties who have. It's a pleasure to have you with all of us today and talking about this particular subject. We have Mr. Ashley Fernandez, who is the chairman of Xavier and Emlyon Business School. Very good evening, sir.
Good evening. Good evening to all our
Hi.
participants. Thank you for having me.
Yes. Ashley is an alum of Stanford University Graduate School of Business, Emlyon Business School, and Institute de Edu-Politique Lyon, formerly an investment banker. He's been a deputy CEO of a listed company on Institute on New York Stock Exchange, Euronext, multi-entrepreneur. Ashley is currently president of Barney and Ferns, an international consulting boutique firm he founded in 2014. Okay, he's a former international hockey player. That's very interesting, Ashley. Along with being the Indian head for Emlyon Business School, he is also a chairman for the Higher Education Committee in Indo-French Chamber of Commerce and Industry for financial year 2020-21. Welcome, Ashley. Along with him, we have another very prominent personality is Professor Dr. Arun Kumar Paul, who is the Dean of Xavier's Emlyon Business School. Very good evening, Dr. Arun.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for having me here.
Okay, yes. He has over 26 years of industry experience, starting his career as a design engineer and then moving on to the level of project manager, where he headed capital projects for Tata Group of companies. He was awarded the National Education Leadership Award in 2013 as Best Teacher in Operation Management area. He also is a professor in Operation Management and Decision Science area at Xavier Institute, XIM University. So welcome. And of course, it's my great pleasure to introduce you, Dr. Professor Michelle Debors, Emlyon Business School expert. Very good evening, Michelle.
Good evening to all. Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure.
Pleasure, yes. He is a full professor at University Paris Calais. He is a specialist in sports marketing with a research focus on the management of sports event, sports sponsorship, and marketing applied to football. He has published 32 books and 52 academics in the field, which is very impressive. January 2009 to January 2019, Professor Debos has been the editor of the International Journal of Sports Marketing and Sponsorship. So welcome everyone. It's a great pleasure to all have you all. And a very little bit about the Institute. Xavier's Emlyon Business School is the first Indo-French business school in India, formed by the partnership between XIM Bhubaneswar and Emlyon Business School France. Emlyon Business School France is ranked 28th globally and has triple accreditations. Xavier's XIM is acknowledged internationally as a world-class business school, which provides quality management programs and develops futuristic managers with strong ethics and value. So it's a great pleasure to have all of you all today. And please, the floor is all yours, and we are looking forward to hear what you have to tell about sports management.
Okay, thank you so much, Piali, for this introduction. Let me jump in right away, and then I'll leave the floor to my two eminent professors who will take you and run you through the program and give you some more insight. First of all, I just wanted to put the program in perspective. Why an MBA MSc program in sports industry management? I think it's very important. I think what is important for you to understand if you are considering a master's MBA program coupled with a MSc in sports industry management is the Indo-French approach. Piali was kind enough to say that Xavier Emlyon Business School was the first Indo-French collaboration. This is very, very important, but because not only does it give you very, very accurate, focused, large, and current information on the industry and on the academics around the industry, but it gives you a unique international and global perspective. We were talking, before the webinar started, we were talking about the enthusiasm and the passion of the Indian public for sports. There is passion, but it is once again a growing industry in India. So there's a lot of things happening in front of the curtain, but also behind the curtain. We talked about the Indian Premier League, Tata. It's now Tata Indian Premier League. Honda Hero is a sponsor for the hockey. You have a lot of sponsorship and partnerships pouring in. So it is becoming more and more important to be equipped and have the knowledge to handle whatever positions, whatever ventures, whatever opportunities there are in this field now and tomorrow. Tomorrow, there's going to be a lot of artificial reality, virtual reality, esports, etc., etc. So there's a large development happening in the field. What is important also is to put it in perspective with the French accent. 2024, 2 years from now, Paris Olympics, and therefore, if you are considering program career in sports industry, what better place to be than in this program, which will give you the best of two worlds, the Indian context, and also prepare you for a global job, and give you the opportunity to experience the life in Paris and in France. I would like to insist on another very important factor as well. This is not another program in sports management. This is a totally different program in sports management, because obviously it gives you once again a lot of knowledge, but it also will prepare you to a change in mindset. I think that if you are going to consider being a great manager, if you are going to consider being a great leader in this field, your mindset has to change, and therefore you must be put in a position on a platform to be able to be challenged and to engage in a totally different journey. And this is how the program has been constructed by two great partners. Emlyon Business School is ranked in the top 100 Shanghai management programs. XIM needs no introduction. It's a premier business school in India. And most importantly, both schools share very strong values. Okay, we are partners because we believe that we need to give our stakeholders, first of all, the students, the opportunity to grow. And this is exactly why you have to, I'm glad that these two brilliant professors are here today with us. They will explain and give you some more insight into how, why, and where you will be able to start your journey and hopefully grow. So without any further ado, I will leave the floor to my two esteemed faculty members. And I thank you for your interest in this MBA MSc program in sports industry management by Emlyon Business School and Xavier University. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ashley, for this introduction. And I also need to underline that without you, nothing would have been possible, because you are obviously the bridge between France and India. This is true. I'm an academic. I have some knowledge in sport, but India was a total new market for me 2 years ago, and thanks to you, it's now not totally unknown, and I'm pretty excited to start having trips in India and meeting the students in Bhubaneswar and have more knowledge and insights from this very exciting country, which is at the same time for me a very exciting country as well, because I have the feeling that everything is pretty new and everything needs to be done in sport management. My point is not to consider, well, you have the US and you have Europe and then you have the rest of the world. That's not the point. It's just because I've been teaching in China for about 10 to 15 years. And China has achieved a lot of things in the field. And I have the feeling that India can really be the new El Dorado for sport management. And I think it's very, very important for young students or less young students, if you want to restart studying, to be at the beginning of something. I was lucky enough some years ago to be able to write a book with two other colleagues, which was the first book ever published in sport marketing in French. And I said I was lucky because I was a pretty young PhD student, and without them, it would have never been possible. So I think that we could be very, very glad giving a chance to young Indian students to start a career in this, and I'm pretty sure that we can achieve this with our program. So this was for the short and general introduction. Basically, what are we talking about? When you talk about the sport industry management, you basically talk about three different universes, which are sports marketing, the sporting goods industry, and sports organization and governance. What is very important to notice is that we are going to tackle these three universes. Usually most students and basically most persons in general have an overview of sport which is just limited to sports marketing. Why? Just because it's very visible, because of media, and because of the popularity. It deals with events organization that will cover all the sports, even at local, national, or international level, and also sponsorship. Sponsorship is usually a field that has a big interest for students because it's trendy, because it's sexy, because it makes you work with companies who have money, who have power. Everybody wants to be the head of sponsorship, for example, for Vodafone or for Barclays, sponsoring the Premier League in England some years ago, or for Pepsi sponsoring the halftime show during the Super Bowl. Now sponsorship has changed a little bit, and it's more and more often called partnership, because actually sponsors and sports organizations work together. And we never forget in our programs to have a CSR perspective, because this is very important in sport. Sport has values, and when you are a sponsor, basically in general, when you are a big actor in sport, you have to deal with this. The second universe, which is very, very important, and particularly for India and for Asia in general, is called SGI, the sporting goods industry. It could be material, hardware, we call it. It could be surfboards, it could be skis, it could be cricket bats, it could be hockey shoes. This is a material. Then you have the shoes. Yeah, the shoes is approximately 30% of the market. That's where Nike and Adidas started, and it usually gives you credibility for the rest. And the rest is textile and accessories. Well, textile and accessories, this is not the most prestigious sector, but that's where you have a lot of money to make, because that's where you will make the most important margins. So basically, this is the second universe, and then we have another one. Yeah, the sporting goods industry, it's about 280 billion euros. So that's not the detail. Consider that everything taken into account, the three universes, it's bigger than the luxury market at the worldwide level. So it's not the detail, it's not something for having fun, it's not just leisure. So if you want to give your parents some kind of insurance, well, consider and tell them that this is a real and serious industry. So 280 billion. As for sport marketing, it's about 140, according to PwC survey some years ago. And finally, we will have the third universe. If we move to next slide, please, which is called sports organization. Well, sports organization and governance. This is actually the third universe. That's not the one that looks so important and popular, but it is actually, and it's as big as the two previous universes, with global revenues of approximately 400 billion euros. So why don't we consider it as so important from the outside? Just because it's very mixed, it's not so homogeneous. It could be cities, it could be federations, it could be leagues, it could be trade unions, it could be administrations, it could be institutions, it could be suppliers in the field of sport, leisure and wellness. It could be sport tourism, which is pretty amazing when you consider, for example, India. The north of India is full of mountains. You have beaches, you have tons of things to do in India to attract tourists connected with the sport activity. So sport tourism is not only attending very prestigious events such as the World Cup, but it's also a question of doing an activity. Switzerland, Norway, the United States, France, the importance of sport in the field of tourism is just huge. We have, for example, a big skiing industry in Europe, and I'm pretty sure that, again, the mountaineering activities could be just amazing in India, and everything needs probably well, not everything needs to be done. That would be a bit tricky to say this, because I'm sure there are things that are done, but there is a huge potential if you consider the future of sport tourism. So basically, it's not that, well, I work on products, or I work on event, or I work on governance. Basically, all the segments are mixed, and particularly when it deals with a very important event such as the 2018 World Cup that happened in Russia. Why is it mixed? First of all, because it's a question of products. Nike producing new boots for Cristiano Ronaldo. Nike producing merchandise products such as this 2 stars jersey of the French national team after they won the World Cup. So for Nike, it's a huge issue. It's the same for Adidas. It's the same for Puma. So sport equipment suppliers are really keen getting involved on sport events. Secondly, it's also a question of marketing. We have sponsors on the World Cup. We have Visa, we have McDonald's, we have Coca-Cola. We used to have Sony or Emirates. Now we have Qatar Airways, we have Vivo, we have Wanda. So most of the biggest companies are still keen sponsoring those kind of events. And they want, of course, to be able to increase their awareness. Well, of course, Coca-Cola does not need any awareness, but Coca-Cola needs image and Coca-Cola needs sales. And this is one of the most efficient ways to achieve this. It's also a question of marketing a country. Russia, of course, it's a bit tricky now to talk about the image of Russia currently, considering the terrible events that are actually happening. But Russia, as other countries like Qatar, like China, like Brazil, has built an image around sport. You show credibility, you show competence, you show your country, you show nice images of crowds, enthusiast fans on the Red Square. You show your country being a sunny country in June. St. Petersburg is just a lovely city, as Brazil has achieved a lot, for example, with the Olympics and the World Cup, even though I do understand and I know, because I was there for both events, that the organization was not perfect. Again, Qatar is going to host the World Cup at the end of the year. We know that there were a lot of problems and a lot of controversies, but still Qatar will try to take advantage of this. And finally, of course, you have geopolitics, you have politicians, Macron, our president, the president of Croatia, Putin, Xi Jinping with football, Al Thani Emir with Qatar and the investment in PSG. It's also a question of personal branding and country branding in general. So as you can see, this is much more than marketing or just products alone. This is a complex and diverse sector that needs knowledge. So what type of knowledge do you need? You can tell your parents that if they are afraid of you studying sport management, you will see in the next slides that you will find a job if you study sport management. And you will also have a lot of knowledge needed to understand the issues. You need economics in yellow highlighted on the slide, because without economics, you don't understand anything to the labor market of athletes. You don't understand anything to the TV rights negotiation or the media rights in general. You need sociology, second universe, because without sociology, you can't understand the behavior of consumers. You can't understand the fans. You can't understand why people practice surfboard, snowboard, or mountain bike in some of the parts of the world. You can't understand the emergence of new sports in general. You need, of course, psychology, because psychology is one of the biggest and one of the most important fields to understand the brain of consumer. What is inside my brain? Why does something express something hot or cold in my mind? Why am I attracted by something, or why is there something like a repulsion? This is psychology, and neurosciences, for example, do help a lot to understand consumer behavior taken individually. And finally, you need statistics, you need data science, and you need a lot of different fields to understand the connection between sport and uncertainty. Sport has value only because it's uncertain. Sport has value life, but still there is a new way to produce and to develop sport. If you see, for example, the emergence of Netflix. Netflix is a clear example of a new way to broadcast sport. Netflix is not positioned on broadcasting sport live like big events, but you have stories to tell. You have storytelling. If you see, for example, this incredible series with Michael Jordan called The Last Dance that most of you probably saw last year, this is a new way to produce sport. So things are changing. You have tons of different fields that you need knowledge on, co-marketing, endorsement, experiential marketing, sponsorship, the battle of content marketing. You need to feed the pipe. It's no way having a pipe if you have nothing in. I mean, you need rights, you need community, you need public relations, of course, if you want to invite prestigious clients. So this is everything we would like you to be able to manage after our program. So what type of job will you be able to find? This is the issue of the next slide. So again, this is for your parents. I always talk about the parents because this is the way it works. When you are young, parents are wired. Parents, they want you to find a job. And of course, they want you to find a job potentially and if possible in your passion. This is exactly why you are at the right place, because we have tons of jobs: digital marketing manager, CRM, managing a store, managing marketing for a sport equipment supplier, being involved in communication, being a press relations officer, being involved in logistics and be a specialist in the supply chain, managing a stadium for a big club, being involved in a tourist office as a director, managing events with the connections between all the members of the steering group. These are just 10% of the examples of the different jobs you would be able to find. And again, that's for your parents. Consider that sport is a very complex activity. And because it's complex, when you study sport management, of course, my wish is that you love it and you find a great job in sport management. But still, don't consider that this is the end of the world and you will never be able to do something else if needed. Just because sport is much more complex. Organizing the Olympics, if you do an internship on the Olympics or even on the Tour de France, the Tour de France is one of the most complex events you could be able to imagine organizing. It's not in a stadium. It's logistics. It's managing the weather forecast. It's managing security. It's managing logistics. It's open. You have 200 kilometers every day with security issues. It's a potential terrorism attack. It's security along the road. It's marketing, it's sponsors, it's cities. I mean, if you are a great manager on the Tour de France, you can do whatever you want on any event after this. Organizing the Cannes Festival movie would be just so easy. A theater festival would be easy. A music festival is nothing compared to a big sport event in an outdoor activity. So that's why I say, in French, we say, who, I don't know, Ashley, if it makes sense, who can do the most can do a little less. I don't know if it makes sense. So because the level of requirements in sport, it's just so huge. That's really for your parents. If you have a course in sport event management, it's like a course in event management, but with higher requirements. But of course, my wish is that everybody loves sport, everybody loves the field. I'm not lucky enough to work in my passion when I was younger. Originally, I studied economics and finance, and I started my career with teaching accounting, which was just a nightmare. And now I'm lucky enough to work in my passion, and that's a wish I have for you. To give you an example, I had a student some years ago. He was hired by Eurosport, and his first job was to work on Grand Slam tournaments, and he spent 3 weeks in Australia for the Australian Open, 3 weeks in Paris for Roland Garros French Open, 3 weeks in Wimbledon, and 3 weeks in New York City at Flushing Meadow. That's not so bad for a first job and a first experience. Of course, he was working much more than 35 hours, which is a legal duration of work weekly in France, but the passion and the excitement was probably 10 times bigger. And that's something I want you to have in your mind. This is the unique situation and the unique possibility to work in your passion. So how much money are you going to make? This is issue of next.
Michelle, before we go into that, if you don't mind, I'd just like to jump in just for a second and
Of course.
add a little bit of perspective to what you just said. Obviously, you talked intensively about the opportunities in France and elsewhere, but I think it's also important to stress that one of the reasons why we started this program in Bhubaneswar in collaboration with Xavier University, it's because it's Bhubaneswar, and therefore we had anticipated the incredible upsurge and upside that was going to happen within the state of Orissa, because we had intensive talks with the government of Orissa. By the way, we have a collaboration with the government of Orissa. We are one of the 10 centers of excellence in sports management, and therefore, when Michelle very rightfully talks about opportunities you get to interact, to dive into the learning by doing, the first batch of students interacted and learned by doing when they got the internships with the Junior World Cup. And they learned what it was. When I talked about behind the curtain, they were behind the curtain, and they saw how an international event was managed. And it was right at the start of the program. So you see, this is what when we talk about platform, when you talk about opportunities, this is exactly why being at the right place at the right time is also adds a lot of value to what you can do. By the way, Michelle, I love what you said when you said sport has value only because it's uncertain. I think everything has value because it's uncertain, and the way you turn uncertainty into opportunities is exactly the journey of anybody in any field. So I just wanted to put that in perspective. Thank you so much, and I'm sorry to have interrupted you.
No, Ashley, you are right. As you understand in the audience, Ashley is really the bridge between France and India and the state of Orissa. And it's true, I was talking in general about international opportunities, but when I started, I mentioned India as a potential El Dorado, and I'm pretty sure that you are the right place at the right moment, because there is no reason why a country of is it 1.4 billion inhabitants now, with competences in computer science, with standard of living which is increasing, with a passion for sport, including cricket, hockey, and now football, with a potential in tourism, with such a diversity. There is no reason why India should not be an incredible market with a huge increase and growth for the next 20 years. So it's really cool for you to be at the beginning of a process which will be a process of at least 20 years. I'm pretty sure about this. So thanks, Ashley, for your comments. So we can end for me with the final slide, I think, which is the next one about salaries. So this is a survey. It's not that easy to find data and statistics about this. Even in France, I don't really have an exact, well, I have an overview, of course, of the market because of my ex-students, but finding independent surveys on this is not that easy. But you have some different jobs that have a more US perspective. And as you can see, you can earn really correctly your life, and additionally, never forget about the passion again, traveling, seeing stars, excitement, being involved on sport events, attending a big event in a sport you love. This is also something that has no price, and this is also why you would be ready to work at night or during the weekend, because this is exactly what is the situation in the leisure and the sport industry. So You are young and talented. The future is yours. So I'm pretty sure that we'll have a great second batch. And after this, I will leave the floor to Professor Arun, who is our big and important partner in India for us. Arun.
Yes. Yeah. Good afternoon, Indian time, all the participants. Thank you, Mr. Ashley. Thank you, Professor Michel Debord. I hope I get that right somehow. Okay, coming back to this program, well, we have now seen what is sports industry management or sports management in general. And also, Mr. Ashley stressed upon the fact that why in Bhubaneswar, it's a very strong point of this program that the government of Odisha is actively involved in this program. So internship or other kind of experiences and many other useful engagements that happens. And there are high performance centers, 10 or 11 of them on various sports. We are also one of them. So that ecosystem of sports is very vibrant in Odisha and in Bhubaneswar. So this program between two great brands, XIM University now, which was earlier XIMB, a flagship institute known for its management programs, and Emlyon, of course, is about 150 years old from France, and there are many campuses. So this is a joint program. It's a program offered by both the institutes, and there are 4 semesters total in 2 years program. First 2 semesters in Bhubaneswar, and then the 3rd semester is in Paris, and then the 4th semester is internship and master thesis. The internship can happen in any place that a student gets it, India, Europe, abroad, anywhere. After finally completing the entire curriculum successfully, there will be 2 degrees awarded. We are calling it dual degree, MBA from XIM University and MSc from Emlyon. And it's quite an intensive program academically. Though we are talking of sports and sports industry management, but this program is academic in nature, which means there will be more action in the classroom through the textbooks, through the cases, and through various statistical tools than really on the field as far as these 2 years are concerned. Ms. Piali has already mentioned the 2 top brands coming together and offering an unique kind of program and opportunity to all the potential students. I again sort of re-emphasize that this program is about improving your employability. Don't look for this as a placement agency. No, absolutely no. You have to be there who is encouraged, who is motivated to change your perspective, to change your skill level and knowledge level, and to improve your employability in the market, in the sports market, which is a huge variety. Fine, these are the eligibility and how to apply and all that are there in our websites. Obviously, it's a master's degree, dual master's degree, to have to be minimum bachelor's. 50% is average that you must get. We know, of course, the sports people are not really good at academics because they do not get time, possibly. Not that there are talent, lack of talent or all, but that's what is minimum. And applications are open online. You can find out more through visiting our websites. And that's all.
Thank you so much, Ashley. Really appreciate your enthusiasm and your philosophy, which is so apt and true. Dr. Arun, thank you so much for being strategically present for the students. Their boss, I hope I've got you right. It was a pleasure really interacting with you, and I'm sure, and he'll be one of your professors, guys. So definitely, a lot of learnings, and he says you can do it all, but yeah, you cannot drive a FY. Okay, so with that note, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure, and have a fantastic evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye. Thank you, guys. Yeah,
Bye.
goodbye.